Good, beautiful morning, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday edition of Shortcuts for Your Soul, where we discuss the concept of meditation and its importance in your life. But today we have a little bit of a consideration before we begin what the meditation is about. The suggestion that you have an illusion of being, the illusion of being, that the personal identity that you think you are is not who you actually are. But I want to welcome you. It's another brand new day and another brand new moment in your life right here, right now. There's never going to be another day like this one. There'll never be another moment like the one that you're in right now. So when I was asked what the subject matter was today, they said the illusion of being was the subject today, and that it's very important that you understand that the only solution to the illusion of who you are being is the process of meditation. I'm going to get into that shortly, but I want to say good morning, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Thank you all for coming and joining me here today. I'm William Michael Forbes. I'm a spiritual medium, a channel, and an intuitive life coach. And William Michael Forbes is the illusion of my being. It is the illusion of my being. It's not who I am. It's the facade that I've been given while being in this physical dimension. And just like the name and the persona that you think you are is an identity that you've been given. It's not the who that you really are. It is the illusion of being that you've been given and provided for in this world. I'm going to go into that in a little bit more, but we're going to give people a chance to get on here this morning. I want to make a couple of quick announcements. So this month I'll be doing my first Patreons only second live event on the 21st of this month. That'll be for my Patreons who are the second tier of my Patreon group. So consider joining if you want to participate in not one, but two live private channeling events each and every month on the 7th and 21st of each and every month. Another announcement I wish to make is we have our new season of our master classes beginning this coming March the 9th. Our Masterclass 101 on Awakening, which is where you begin to learn to discern between the illusion of your being and rediscover who you really are. When I was getting prepared, I had my guardian angel John come in, and he said to me, a lot of the people that you call marginalized in this world, William, people that live on the streets, people that don't seem to fit into society, are marginalized by the existing system that gives you an illusion of being. And the people that are marginalized are people that are not compatible with the system of information that tries to enslave people to a specific individualized identity, which is not the truth of who any of you is anyway. And I said, that's pretty amazing, John. And he said, it's the truth. Most of the people you see struggling and suffering are struggling and suffering because they are being overlaid with a personality from the environment, education, rules, regulations, laws, government ethics that formulate a composite or a mask over who you are, prevents you from knowing who you really are. And right now, you need to be who you are, not who you've been conditioned to think you're supposed to be. And I said, no, that's absolutely true. I really feel that way myself because I've learned to make the distinction between myself as a thinker and myself as the thoughts. He said, everybody has to learn to do that. But the existing systems of education and learning are designed to overlay, to put over top of you, almost like he said, it's almost like putting a bag over your head or pulling the wool over your face. That this form of education and learning that is globally accepted for the most part is designed to give you a false self so that you can never really feel true to yourself. You know that statement from the Bible that says, to thine own self be true? It shall follow the night as the day, that thou cannot be false to another man. But the truth is, when you are given an identity by the world, you lose the self that you are to that identity that the world gives you. And he said, and the only solution to that, William, is a function of meditation where you learn to differentiate yourself. You've got to learn to differentiate yourself from who you've been taught to think you're supposed to be. And the only way you can begin that process of breaking free of the illusionary self that you've been provided for by this world is the process of making the distinction between your thoughts, your memories, your emotions, and who you are as the one that bears witness to all of that. The you that you are that sometimes get lost in all of that. The beliefs and ideologies of the world, you can get lost in them. But I was really pleased and excited that he said that people that appear to be marginalized are the ones that do not and are not compatible with accepting this personality overlay that disconnects people from who they truly are. And like right now, he said the simplest way is the fact that you can observe your thoughts at this moment. The very act of observing the thoughts that are in your head, observing the emotions contained within you, the mere fact that you can observe those, if you can observe those, many of you believe that you are those thoughts and you are those beliefs and ideas in your mind and you are those emotions. Many of you believe that that's who you are, but it is not who you are. He said many people believe that, but if you're able to observe your thoughts, observe your emotions, observe the impulses of the body, you've taken the first step in awakening yourself to who you truly are. Many people get so broken by the illusionary self they've been given by their environment that they give up and they surrender and they suffer and wallow in the thoughts and emotions which are not compatible with your true identity. And I'm really grateful he's saying all this to me today. I'm really happy to know that he said that all the people that appear to be marginalized are just looking for a way to reawaken to themselves. And the messages that we put through you, William, are designed for the simple, easiest, most efficient ways that individuals can begin to differentiate between the personality overlay that they've been bombarded with from the moment of their birth and all through their so-called education, which is actually the opposite of that, the conditioning that you go through. The only way out of that is through the simplicity of remembering who you are and making the distinction between the illusion of the self and that which you really are. That, he says, is the illusion of being. The illusion of being is the personality, the name, the age, the personality that you think you are, that those elements have you enslaved to that role. Now, as he says all this, I think of movies like The Matrix, where you find yourself waking up in a world that is very repetitive and redundant, mundane. And you suddenly realize there's more to it. You may not know how or why you realize there's more than what there appears to be to your life, but you know inside that there's something different for your life than what your thoughts are telling you, what your emotions feel like. You know that there's something not right because you're correct. The identity that you've been given is not who you are. It is simply a collection of information and experiences stored in the matrix of the biological organism to which you feel confined, or at least believing it's simply you. But the very act of beginning to observe your thoughts, which is a beginning stage to meditation, the mere act of observing your thoughts is the beginning of the function of meditation as an application of awakening, your deliberate and intentional desire to awaken, now able to be fulfilled by that first simple step of observing your thoughts. And I remember 5.5 years ago now, when John and Master Jesus and many others began to speak to me and talk to me about these things, and how I had the knowledge of them but did not understand them, how I had the idea of these things, but I did not know these things because I was still entrenched in the idea that the thoughts that were being thought in my mind were who I am. The memories and emotions that I had about my life before was who I am. And they said, so you were going through this internal conflict, still knowing there was something more to your life than what you were experiencing. And when they came to me, they began to guide me and instruct me in that process of observing thoughts, the mere act of observing thoughts, the mere act of observing emotions. These are what they say, 2 cardinal steps to your awakening and liberating yourself from the suffering, the illusion, the confusion provided to you by the world, which, if you look around you, is based in conflict and confusion in the human realm. In the natural world, they say there's very little confusion in the natural world. It's very easy to discern what things are and how they work. Birds and bees, trees, flowers, the fishes, the air, all elements of consciousness that function in absolute and complete harmony, one with the other. But you've been burdened with this false self. Many of you are trapped by this false self, rarely ever considering to question your thoughts, rarely considering questioning what you know, all the while feeling there's something more to your life than you currently experience. Even if you may be very wealthy or very poor, a part of you knows that there's something more to the life that you're experiencing, that you're observing and experiencing with your 5 physical senses. And while these 5 physical senses can be delightful and wondrous in allowing you to experience creation through the physical medium of existence, it is not the all of you. It is not the nature and source of what you are. And you know this on some level. You know this, especially if you are hearing these words and they ring true to you. It's not like sitting in a classroom in a school where you feel like you are simply a drone taking information in. Whether that information may or may not be exciting for you, you are still feeling like you are in something, going somewhere, but not quite sure where you're going or what the something is going to lead to. And that is not because there's anything wrong with you, but simply because you are recognizing that there's more to you than sitting behind a desk. There's more to you than the collage of memories and thoughts and emotions that you harbor within that vessel of your body. And so he said, the illusion of being, he said, was today, the illusion of being, that you had to understand the illusion of being, and the solution to being trapped in the illusion of being, the solution is meditation. The beginning steps to meditation are becoming aware of your thoughts. That you are by nature, in being aware of your thoughts, you are not your thoughts. The very act of becoming aware of your thoughts means that you are not the thoughts themselves, but one able to evaluate, examine, consider, edit, delete, subtract those thoughts as a function of your will, to test the believability of an idea or a thought that you harbor in your mind that you may not even have chosen to accept, but were given to accept, as is the case where they are now taking your children into these learning centers at much younger ages now. Because the younger you bring a child into these systems, the easier it is to condition them into the illusion of a being that would be designed by those who construct those systems of learning for you, often for the purpose of ensuring that a certain percentage of you remain in the illusion of your being, disconnected from your true nature and your true function. Because your true function gets lost in the illusion of the being that you have been conditioning to believe that you are. And it is time you awaken to this simple first step, that the observer position, where you can observe your thoughts, you can observe your emotions, that very act. It's like climbing out of the seat of your car and stepping out and looking at it and walking around it and saying, oh, that is a car. That is not who I am. It's got doors, it's got windows, it's got fenders, it's got a hood. You step outside the vehicle, you begin to observe what makes it up. Oh, I'm not the car, I'm not the door, I'm not the window. I'm aware there is a door, there is a window, but that's not me. It's the same as observing your thoughts. You are stepping out of the vehicle to observe your thoughts, observe your emotions, stepping out of the illusion of being and observing the illusion. From whence cometh your thoughts and memories? The past is non-existent anymore. It is but a memory stored in the structure of your mind. And you have definitions for your memory. You have information about your memory. And from where did you get that information? From these centers of education, from your environment, from the names that were given to you. And like that character in that movie, The Matrix, you step outside the vehicle into another realm of perception. And in that other realm of perception, you begin to recognize that if I am not these thoughts, if I am not these emotions, then who? Who are you? If you are not your thoughts and you can observe them, if you are not your memories, but you can observe them, if you are not the emotions, but you can observe them, then who are you that observes these things? These two steps are the beginning of meditation, to observe thought, to observe emotion, to observe body, to understand how they work. How does thought work? How does your body actually work? How do emotions work? What do they do? You know, inside your car, if you turn the steering wheel, the direction of your car will change. You know that if you apply the brake or the fuel pedal, that the car will go or stop. You know that if you open or close the windows, you will get circulation of air. You will know that if you turn a key on, then the engine will begin. There are things that you understand functionally how to operate your car, and the same principle of functionality and authority that you have as the driver of your car, you have also over the function of your mind and body. But you are not taught this. You're not given that data, that information that would say you may change the rate and frequency of your blood pressure, heart rate. You may change the way your digestive system works by how excited or how sedate you become. That you can increase or decrease the energy available to your body by how you think certain thoughts or generate certain emotions. And so you learn to step outside of the vehicle. This position of observation begins. And then you ask, where did these thoughts come from that I have in my mind? Where do they come from? And you say, they came from school. And what do those thoughts mean? And what do they cause you to be and to do? You begin to evaluate the vehicle. You may have just realized you bought a lemon and now you have to repair it and fix it. You are not a lemon, of course, but your mind and body, for these that I spoke of earlier, about those who have been marginalized, were given a lemon. They were given a structure of personality and information incompatible with their true nature, as is the case for most everyone on the planet. But the vast majority of you, about 70 to 75% of you, can fit quite nicely into the illusion of being that was given to you, simply accepting what you've been told to believe and accept, to watch your boxes of instruction, to listen to one individual at the front of a class telling you something they've been told to tell you. And so the cycle of being trapped in the illusion of being is almost complete by the process and structure of the mechanisms of teaching that exist today. But the growing percentage of you that are not compatible with this form of giving yourself a personality is growing. And you see great discontent and frustration all around this world now. Not because you want to be frustrated, or any of you want to be frustrated or discontented, but what you have been conditioned to believe or accept as true or not true is not compatible with who you truly are. And if you are trying to be something you are not, it will result in being uncomfortable. It will result in suffering. It will result in conflict. It will result in self-alienation. When you wake up in the morning and you neatly put your personality back in your mind after those first few moments where you have that glimpse of hope and possibility, but you do not have to wait for those little moments. Awaken now. Time to break the illusion of being and begin the process of remembering who you are. To begin it. To begin to observe the thoughts in your mind. To consider from where do they come. That you are good or not so good. That you are a failure or successful. That you are beautiful or you are ugly. Where did these conceptions come from? One of the things we often tell William is to give things names is very detrimental. To give a thing a name can be very detrimental. And when you were given a name, you were given a position in consciousness that began to restrict you to a very limited and restricted identity that prevents you from truly knowing who you are. Although that can never be taken away from you, neither in this physical lifetime, and certainly not outside of this physical lifetime, although attempts are being made to indoctrinate you sufficiently enough so that you will retain the identity impressed upon your consciousness for many lifetimes to come. Until you break this illusion of being, then you find yourself trapped in a mind that you might not like, in a body that you would disagree with, not because you would actually disagree with it, but because you've been conditioned to believe that certain illusions are true when they are not. You are a soul, an entity of divinity. And while the word itself is not precise in its meaning, that is the benefit of the word divinity. It is not quite precise in its meaning. And words that are not quite precise give you, as the awareness, an opportunity or some wiggle room to step outside of the illusion. And you do this the moment you begin to observe your thoughts in your mind and say, oh, where did that thought come from? Where did I get this? And why am I believing it or accepting it? Who am I that is observing these thoughts and these emotions? Where do these emotions come from? Do these thoughts that are in my mind have anything to do with the emotions that I experience in my body? Do the things I observe around me influence what my thoughts will be? Do they influence my body? Because you do understand that one can present information to you and affect your body, a vibrational offering of information can cause an effect in your own biological system. This is why you have so much of these devices that indoctrinate you into observing everything outside of yourself. And so to keep you absorbed in what is outside of yourself keeps you in the illusion of being, not in the understanding of the fulfillment of your being, but in these two simple questions, these two considerations: to evaluate your thoughts, to observe your thoughts. These are the beginning steps of meditation: to observe your thoughts, to observe your emotions. This process, the first steps of meditation, begin with observation, where you step outside the structure of information that formulates the construct of your personality, which keeps you limited to the body. As the sense mechanisms of your biology, when bonded with specific information, forms a very neat package, almost with a bow on it, that keeps you trapped inside that package. But on a very profound and visceral level, many of you are now beginning to realize there's something not quite right with how you are experiencing this world. And it is not because the world itself is not quite right. It is not because your body is not quite right. Your body is perfect. But it is because the information, the overlay of information that has become the mechanism of personality that you believe that you are, keeps you trapped to that structure of information. And you may be uncomfortable in that, but the moment you begin to observe your thoughts, the moment you begin to step outside the vehicle and take a look at it and observe it, what is one thought or another thought? What are its effects? You question when you sit behind the wheel of your vehicle and you go to step on the brake or you step on the gas, you do so carefully to understand what will happen if I push this pedal or I push this pedal, or what will happen if I turn the wheel. You have the intelligence and ability to do that with a car or a tractor or an airplane or a bus or putting your clothes on. You have the wherewithal to examine and evaluate your clothing. Would you not also wish to cultivate the wherewithal to observe your thoughts in your mind and what influence they will have upon you? Is that not wise? Because thoughts, like the brake or the accelerator or the steering wheel in your car or the motor, have certain effects as to what they will cause to occur in your life. So begin the process of evaluation to observe your thoughts, to deliberately and intentionally observe your thoughts, to question their source and origins for yourself. From whence comes the name that you have? You go by the name John, or you go by the name Mary, or you go by the name George, or Jessica, or Joy. And that name was not of your own choosing, but that you have accepted it. But it was given to you. Even the name that you address yourself by was not a choice of your own. It was imparted onto you as the nexus point of an illusionary identity that prevents you from evaluating the identity so that you can begin to realize who you really are and what your function is. Because in the structure of information that you've been provided with in this world, unquestioningly, many of you, not questioning that information keeps you trapped to itself. And until the process of conscious and deliberate evaluation of the thoughts, it is like you would simply be in the vehicle and let it drive down the road without having any control over it. And there are several very simple layers to understand that if you understand these layers and begin to peel them away, the layers that are imposed upon you by the environment of man, the creations of men. Men meaning all human people. Because some of you are getting very hung up on these terms, deciding that one is good and one is evil. Man, woman, these are terms that are to denote different species that are symbiotic in this physical dimension. Man and woman are beings that are designed by nature to be symbiotic in this dimension to allow the propagation of experiential creation in a physical dimension. That is what man and woman are. But in the term I speak of men, I speak of the humanity as a whole. And so you find yourselves in this realm of layered information, the information that was first given to you by your environment, which often remains completely unquestioned, often for most of your lifetimes. Then there's a layer of information you get from your so-called educational centers that provide you and furnish you with information that somebody has provided and furnished for somebody else to give you. There's that layer of information that often remains unquestioned, although there is some faint hints at being able to question your thoughts and your thinking in what you call your higher educational learning centers, provided that your thoughts and thinking don't go outside the structure of information that they're willing to provide you with there, because they want you to stay engrossed in this illusion of being. And why am I saying all this? So that you have a foundation before we go into this process of evaluation, so that you understand why you are evaluating. You are evaluating to gain a deeper understanding of the nature and functionality of your mind, given the information, ideas, and emotions that are bonded with that information in your mind. How the relationship between your thoughts, the experiences you have, and the emotions you harbor inside your body, to understand the relationship between them and the causal relationship between them and your environment. That is how you interact with and cause effects in your world around you by the nature and quality of the thoughts held in your mind and the emotions that those thoughts stimulate into existence to manifest as they appear to be for you. Many of you are believing that you cannot even question why you feel a certain way or what thoughts cause that feeling. And the mere irresponsibility, not evaluating and questioning your own thoughts and thinking process, keeps you in the illusion of that being. But the moment you step over that illusionary boundary between thoughts and observer, emotions and observer, body and observer, the moment you cross over to that invisible threshold that allows you to observe this thought or that thought, this memory or that memory, the moment you cross that threshold of observation, you begin to move into meditation. And that meditation can be a very awake meditation, or you can be partially awake. But the solution to breaking the illusion of being is meditation. The foundational steps of which are understanding that you have dominion and authority over your body, which you've not been taught. Many of you have been taught to believe that your body is some strange instrument that you inhabit that has a life of its own. And in one sense, it certainly does have a life of its own, but it is designed by nature to exclusively carry out the commands that you would give to it in the form of the thoughts that you think and the actions you would choose based on the thoughts that you would think, coupled with the emotional energy stimulated by those thoughts. But once you cross that invisible boundary to observation, you can begin to evaluate that certain thoughts and qualities of thoughts will definitely precipitate. They will definitely precipitate a state of emotional being that will compel your body to action. Specific qualities of emotion stimulated by specific qualities of thoughts or ideas cause very particular actions, emotions through the body. The evaluation of your thoughts is a crucial step in meditation. To observe, to recognize that this thought causes this sensation causes this reaction in your body. If you understand that simple sequence just spoken of, then you can simply begin the process of altering the thought process in the mind, change the stimulation of energy, the qualities of energy that you embody as emotion, and therefore begin to assert authority over your body in a very different way. Some of you call it mind over matter, but we call it soul over thought over matter. But only in the position of observational being can you begin that journey of having and reacquiring the natural authority that you are designed by nature to have over that physical organism in which you find yourself. That each and every one of you has a natural authority in being able to govern the functions of your biology, both the conscious and overt functions of arms and legs, but more so even the internal functions of nerves and organs and glands, that you have an authority over them and an autonomy over them once you understand your relationship to the vehicle. Much the same way as you can operate the car or your motor scooter, does not matter, whatever you can operate, you operate it because you understand its functions. So too, you may have the same level of proficiency over your own physiological existence, that there are certain things that your body needs, certain thoughts that are good for your body, certain thoughts that are not good for your body, certain things that are not good to put in your body. But you can only begin to make that assessment and evaluation when you come to the place of observational awareness, where you begin to observe thought, observe the emotions they bring to life. And from that place of observation, to consider what other thought might I think that would be good for this mind and this body? What thought might I think that could create an emotional condition favorable for the vitality of my body? That this is a beautiful and wondrous instrument. How many of you take the time to think that you are in a most delightful and wondrous instrument, unlike any other in the cosmos of creation? You exist in a very unique organism that will never be seen or experienced again throughout all eternity. And many of you find fault with that, but you've been given names and labels about what you think good is, or what you think beauty is, or what you think something is. And by the definition of information that you've acquired, you can end up attacking and harming your own physical body because you do not understand your relationship to it, or how precious and priceless it is. That the body you are in is an instrument of life, a one-of-a-kind, wondrous, most exquisite instrument. And so these first two steps of observational awareness, to evaluate your thoughts, to consider the quality of emotion that certain thoughts stimulate, and how those qualities of emotion induce change and affect your physical body, and indeed your environment. Indeed, your environment is likewise affected by your thoughts and the energy of emotion that they stimulate. And so as you hear these words and you begin to perhaps start to examine some of the thoughts in your mind, and you start to evaluate and question where they came from and what is their effect upon your life, you will begin to awaken. You'll begin to end the illusion of your being, and you'll begin the journey of becoming, remembering who you truly are, not simply a puppet in time, space, and matter, but a creative intelligence capable of many wonders, unique to you, unique to that body. The possibilities for each of you are limitless. But in order to come to that awareness, you must first begin to get out of the illusion of being and begin to return to what you functionally are as a spiritual consciousness, a soul that has very deliberate and distinct capabilities over mind and over matter. And so, as I said at the very beginning of this, when I first spoke to this one, William, this morning, and I said to him, those that feel marginalized are the ones that are least compatible with the conditioned processes being institutionalized around your planet for some thousands of years now, where your thinking and your learning are based on a very specific structure of information. And there are larger and larger numbers of you that are no longer compatible with this illusionary structure you've been provided for. And so you might think or feel that there's something wrong with you because you do not fit in. But the exact opposite is true. There's something right with you because you do not fit within. You just do not know what that is. You do not fit in because there is something right about you. But to understand what that right is, you must begin to evaluate the nature of the thoughts, their origins, and the emotional energy that thoughts in your mind generate. Begin to cast out from your mind those thoughts that are not congruent with who you truly are. And the vast majority of you being indoctrinated into violence and aggression, the vast majority of you being indoctrinated into violence and aggression, viscerally know how wrong it is. That's why so many of you will go into places of battle and come back feeling like you are forever damaged. But we can assure you that you are not forever damaged. You have simply engaged in a function that was given to you to perform that was incompatible with your true nature, which is love. Your true nature and source is love. Your true nature and source is love. And you've been given tasks, beliefs, systems of information that are incompatible with who you are. And you've been conditioned to think, feel, and believe that there's something wrong with you because you do not fit in. But in order to find that place of righteousness in yourself, it's important that you begin the process of remembering who you really are. And you cannot know who you are until you step outside the vehicle and evaluate what the vehicle is. And from the outside perspective, you can begin to make modifications. If you do not like the car that you just bought because they gave you a bad car, then you can begin to replace the engine. You can fix things on it. You can modify it or get a completely new vehicle if you chose. You can make your whole mind renewed. But you must understand that you are not the thoughts in your mind. You are the observer of them. And this is the first step of freedom. Real freedom, not the freedom that you've been told that you will have if you have more money, not the freedom you told you would have if you have more authority or control or power, not the freedom you were told you would have if you fight for your freedom against somebody else, or not the freedom you have by belonging to this group or that group, but the authentic freedom of your soul to exist in the nature of what you are as a functional consciousness, here to demonstrate creation, your unique creation, through the physical organism that you currently inhabit while in this physical dimension. The freedom to create. And while you have certain documents that exist that identify these natural elements to what you truly are, that would support it, one of your countries has this thing called a Bill of Rights, which is the closest divine embodiment of information provided to what you call your Western world. In the Eastern world, it's the great scriptures of the Vedas. But there's a system of freedom for you, and it begins in the process of your awakening, differentiating between the thoughts, differentiating between the emotions that those thoughts create, learning to re-articulate new ideas in your mind. Then you begin to create. You can build a personality other than the one that the world has furnished with you. And those of you that are conflicted with the personality that you've been given by the environment, it is not because there's something wrong with you. It is simply you have a personality that is in conflict with your true nature. And how can you know your true nature from within that construct of personality? You cannot. You cannot know yourself as the mind-body system. You can know the mind-body system as the mind-body system, but you cannot know yourself as that. Because the moment you begin to observe your thoughts, you begin to question and evaluate their nature and source, you begin to awaken. The illusion of being begins to dissolve, because you then say, oh, this thought did not come from me. It came from this TV show. This thought did not come from me. It came from this book that I was given. This belief about men and women did not come from me. It came from this teacher, this instructor taught me this about men and women. And much of what you've been taught remains unquestioned by you. And anything unquestioned by you within your consciousness will create conflict. Because your nature, in truth, is one of wholeness, not fragmentation. The nature of your soul is whole and complete. The nature of your mind and body may not be in the image and likeness of what you are, and that would be confusing for you. But you are all awakening. One way or another, you will awaken. You will awaken. So now that we have arrived at this part, he's saying that for those of you that are still listening and hearing these words, if your body's not sitting down, make sure it is sitting down. If it's better for it to lie down, lie down. And just for the next 2 minutes, you can do this longer if you want in your own time, okay? They're saying you can do this longer, and it's recommended that you do this as often as you can. And you extend the period of time you do it. But for the next 2 minutes, let's do these two things. Just for the next 2 minutes, okay? Observe your thoughts. Just watch them. They're in there. You know they're in there. I know they're in there. They're in my mind too, right? I can hear their thoughts. I can hear my own thoughts, but I can differentiate between them too. And you need to differentiate between the thoughts in your mind and who you are. So for like the next 2 minutes, just breathe slowly and deeply in through the nose. Hold your breath for about 3 seconds and let the body relax when you exhale. They say this again and again. Your ability to take authority over your breath gives you autonomy and will over the body. Deliberately making your body breathe in a certain way, you are asserting authority over matter. And so for the next 2 minutes, breathe slowly and deeply, and as you do, get the body to relax. And as the body continues to relax, keep the breathing going. Don't let the breathing break the pattern. Breathe in, hold for 3 seconds, release. Just keep that pattern. Breathe in for 3 seconds, breathe in, hold for 3 seconds, and release. Make sure you fill your lungs completely and exhale your lungs completely before taking each breath. As the body relaxes more and more, you're going to notice another thing that starts to happen is the mind, your actual mind begins to get quieter. As you allow your body to relax, because the body is hooked into the brain, which has the storage of information of your personality. And as you relax the body, it has an effect of relaxing the mind. So keep breathing slowly and deeply. And we're going to do this for the next 2 minutes. Just keep doing that. You can listen to me and still do this and have the same effect because you're a multidimensional being. You're not limited to just what you're hearing. You can expand your awareness to stay focused on breathing slowly and deeply. Hold the breath for 3 seconds, release the breath, give your body permission to relax. It's that simple, the first step. Once the body begins to relax, as the body relaxes, notice that your mind will start to become quieter too. If it doesn't start to become quieter as the body relaxes more, then imagine that you can take your breath and breathe it into the space in the middle of your head. So you can draw your breath into your head, like imagine you can fill your head with your breath. And then hold the breath for 3 seconds. And as you exhale, think to the mind, be still, be quiet, be peaceful. And make certain that when you think or speak those words, you do it slowly with your breath as you exhale. Be still, be quiet, be peaceful. And each breath then, as you breathe it in, you hold it for 3 seconds. As you release it, allow the body to relax and speak or think those thoughts to your mind. Be still, be quiet, be peaceful. In the beginning, Some of you might have a mind that is very active and overstimulated by the environment. But if you're persistent with the breath and persistent with these thoughts, the mind and body will continue to settle. And what's really beautiful about this, that as your mind and body continue to settle through your breath, as your mind and body continue to settle with your breath, you might start to feel like a tingling sensation throughout your body. That tingling sensation is usually the result of two things. You're bringing oxygen deliberately in a very precise way into the body. And this additional oxygen begins to energize the body. Simultaneously, as your thoughts begin to get quieter, along with the body relaxing, you reduce the resistance that your mind has with the thinking that goes on, and you reduce the resistance in the muscle system by relaxing the body. This allows energy to flow more freely throughout the entire body. This increased flow of energy stimulates cells into a higher functionality of their behavior. And that higher functionality of your behavior, yes, I understand, will continue the process of increasing energy. You continue to apply this. The next step will then be to evaluate your thoughts, to evaluate where they come from. This is the first key steps that they wanted to discuss with us today. Unfortunately, there is no time for Q&A today, but understand that just the act of using your breath this way, if you want to hear the full session, the full channeling session today, you can go to my YouTube channel and look under the live videos. In a couple of hours, this live video will be up there under my lives. Any live event that you've heard here on TikTok is available over on my YouTube channel under the live video section. I want to say again, remember, sign up for our upcoming 101 masterclass if you want to know more about mediumship and how to connect to your guides and your angels, ascended masters, and other multidimensional beings. Begins March the 9th. It's called Masterclass 101 Awakening. Please join us. Sign up for it now. Go to my website, williammichaelforbes.com. I want to wish each and every one of you much, much love, and have yourselves a wonderful and a joyful day. Bye for now.